Shalom, shalom, people. So what's going on, Israel? I want to come up here and make this really quick video. I was just having a discussion with a close family member, and they were going over the typical Christian scripture, I guess, that people use of the Christian faith to try to say, well, see, the law is done away with, and we can eat and do whatever we want to do. Acts chapter 10. This person wasn't asking me, wasn't coming from that angle. He was just asking me about, well, how do you explain on that? Like, what's your take on that? How do you explain that? So the scripture is Acts chapter 10, where we all know Peter gets the vision from the Most High, the unclean animals in the blanket, and the Most High says, eat. And Peter says, I have not eaten anything unclean, yada, yada, yada. So let's really go into that a little bit, what it's actually talking about. So I'm going to show you yourself so you can see and read along with me. Give me 1 second. Okay, so you can see here we're in Acts chapter 10, and I'm going to quickly go through the first couple of verses because I want to make sure that I get to the actual part, and I don't want this video to be very long. So it's talking about Cornelius, the man that was a part of the Italian band. A lot of people believe that he was an Israelite. I mean, a lot of people believe that he was not an Israelite. I personally believe that he was an Israelite. Why I believe that? Get the book, it goes into detail about that. But anyway, so he's having the vision, he's praying to the Most High. The Most High sends the angel and tells him to send down 2 people to the city of Joppa, which is actually Jaffa, the city that I went to when I was in Israel, and asks for a man named Peter who's at Simon's house. So we go ahead and let's jump down. So while the Most High is working on that, he also sends an angel to Peter to prepare him for the men that were coming his way. So let's go to verse 9. On the morrow, as they went on their way and drew nigh into the city, Peter went up upon the housetop to pray about the 6th hour. And he became very hungry and would have eaten. But while they made ready, he fell into a trance. And he saw heaven open, and a certain vessel descending unto him, as it had been a great sheet knit at the 4 corners and let down to earth, wherein were all manner of 4-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. And there came a voice to him, Rise, Peter, kill and eat. But Peter said, Not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. And the voice spake unto him again the second time, What God or Yahweh have cleansed, that call not thou common. I'm going to stop there. So the thing about it is that people look at this and say, oh, okay, the Most High, said, look, here's some pigs, eat some pigs. Or any kind. Actually, it doesn't just say pigs. It says all manner of 4-footed beasts. So here's some pigs, here's some camels, here's some gorillas, or, I shouldn't say 4-footed. They're not 4-footed, but, here's some lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, have your pick of the tray, honey. Okay, and they actually say that was what was going on. The Most High said, now here you can eat these things. Is that really what was going on? Now, mind you, when you read the scriptures after this vision, did you read anywhere about it where they were slaying, coyotes and lions and pigs and things of that nature? Do you read anywhere in the scripture where they were just praying over their food and they were just having a feast day, pulling up shrimp out the Mediterranean Sea? You do not. So what is that the Most High was actually talking about? First of all, when he says, what I have made clean, what I have cleaned, do you not call those, call that common? What does common mean? When we look that word up in the interlinear, to make common, to make levitically unclean, render unhallowed, defile, profane, to declare or count unclean. So this is in reference to this law, the thing that the people say the Most High got rid of. So he's telling Peter, I've made it clean, but don't you call it unclean. And he's making a reference to the law, which was, already something that people was still in place, that the Most High has already commanded, but yet people say was abolished after he died. Now, this was years after his death, but yet Peter is still living underneath that mindset that those things are now, are still considered unclean. Did he miss the memo? After the Messiah died, people say that he, died and he abolished the law. He did away with it after he died. This was probably at least 50 years after he passed and rose again. Peter is still thinking that that's unclean. Why? Did he not get the message? Wasn't he not a disciple? And they're thinking, oh, okay, well, this is proving here where the Most High is giving him the message that it's not uncommon anymore. It's not unclean anymore. Well, like I said, do you read anywhere where he went and ran off and ate anything that was creeping upon the earth? Do you read that in the scriptures? Do you see that anywhere in the scriptures? Not just Peter, but anybody else in the scriptures after the Messiah's death and resurrection. Do you read that? Even today, if the Most High has made them clean, do you not still see swine swaddling in their own filth? When did he actually change their genetics and makeup to have them actually dispose of their waste properly, to not eat of things that are unclean? When did that happen if he made them clean? So then the question is asked, if he's not talking about animals and eating things is what we believe, what did he actually make clean? Well, I'm going to leave you on that one because I want you to get the book. I don't want to spoil it for you. I want you to get the understanding. Get the book, read the book, pass it on to someone, share it as a gift, download it however you want to get it out there, get this information out there. Again, this is not to discredit or, let me not use that word, this is not to bash anyone who is of the Christian faith. This is to give clarity, because a lot of times not a lot of times, all the time, our people are a huge number, in America at least, in the Christian church and in Africa as well. And they're being taught things that's not right. Some intentionally being done and some unintentionally being done because people don't have the understanding of the scriptures. This is why you have to pray and fast and ask the Most High to be your teacher. Ask him to give you one that has spent time with him to teach you. Because I didn't know these things on my own. I just came into this knowledge of the Israelite facts, 3 years ago, going on 4 this year. I had no idea about any of this stuff. So the Most High will definitely teach you, and he will also give you leaders that he can sit you underneath them. And, those teachers will be men that have spent time with the Most High, that have prayed and fasted and sought the Most High, and that will have revelation, understanding, and that will feed into you and impart into you what the word is actually saying. So get the book so you can figure out so you'll know exactly what it was that he was teaching. But I want you to, what he was talking about, but I want you to remember, understand, you don't read anywhere in the scriptures after the Messiah's death and resurrection, or even after this vision where the Israelites went ahead and started eating unclean foods. You don't read anywhere in the scriptures that happening. Also, when you look at today, the animals that were considered unclean back then are still unclean, particularly the pig, because that's a big point of contention in the American society and around the world too. The swine is still filthy today. If you don't believe me, just Google a picture of a pig. If shrimp was made clean, even though this scripture wasn't talking about shrimp, it was talking about men or four-footed beasts, but people like to include those unclean animals with the scripture. If it was talking about shrimp, then why is it you still have to devein it? Why is it you still have to try to make it somewhat clean before you eat it, which really isn't cleaning it because the toxins are still in the flesh? But anywho, I'm going to leave that there. And also, this is not to, take away anything from the true Gentiles being able to have a relationship with the Most High, because I do believe that the Most High will have mercy, or will see anyone who has a pure, genuine heart before him. But there's ways and order of doing that. If you don't believe that, let me show you another scripture. 1 second. Okay, so here we are in Matthew chapter 8, and this is the story of the centurion when the Most High, Yahushua, was walking through, or Jesus, for those who are not familiar with the phrase Yahushua. He was passing through, and the centurion came up to him and said, "Hey, speak the word. My child is lying, unto death, grieved, sick with palsy. Send the word, and because I'm not worthy for you to enter into my home," because this was an actual Gentile. But just send the word, and I believe, and I believe that the child will be healed, and when I get home, they'll be right. And Yahushua looked at them and said, "Verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel." Verse 11, "And I say unto you that many shall come from the east and the west, and shall" what? "Sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven." Well, first of all, who is Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? That's only one particular bloodline or seed that comes directly from those men, the men that are in covenant with the Most High. All of them are in covenant with the Most High. They are our forefathers. That seed is Israel. So the scripture says that many shall come from the east and the west and sit down with Israel in the kingdom of heaven. So if you can't understand that actually means that there will be people who are non-Israelites in the kingdom, then I don't know what to tell you. But I do believe that Israelites, of course, the kingdom of heaven is given unto the Israelites to reign with the Messiah, our King Yahushua, HaMashiach, or Jesus the Christ, as some people are familiar with. Some people don't like to use that phrase and that name. I understand that too, but I don't personally see Jesus as being, offensive. It's just the English translation of the Greek name Jesus, which is the Greek translation of the Hebrew name, which some say Yeshua, which is also another translation of Yahushua. Anywho, it says that many shall come from the east and the west, all over, and shall sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob shall sit down with Israel in the kingdom. So again, this story is, my book is not about trying to discredit or count out or remove Gentiles from being able to accept, the Most High and serve him. Rather, what it is doing is showing that and proving in the scriptures that the Yahushua did not deal with anyone other than Israel. Israel. And if non-Israelite nations want to serve the Most High, they have to what? Come to Israel. So this notion of, oh, black people don't need to be, respected, or they're not really this and not really that, I can be equal with you. That's not true according to the scriptures. It says in Deuteronomy 7:6 that I have chosen you above all nations. You are my special people. You are above all nations. So how can I be equal? Now, again, that's going to ruffle some feathers with some people. But hey, look, I didn't write the story. I'm just telling you the scriptures. Okay. So anyway, going back to my original thing, this was just supposed to be, this was a quick little video about Acts chapter 10, the vision that Peter had from the Most High when the Most High was allegedly telling him to eat unclean foods, which actually in a way he was, but he was using it as an analogy or an example to explain something that was more important beyond eating pork. Okay, to Peter. The Yahushua did not come down this earth and die and shed his blood for us to be able to eat pork and fry up some bacon. Okay, and when you get the understanding of that, it makes a whole lot bigger difference in reading the rest of the scripture. So I want to let you know, get the book so you can figure out what that means, and you'll know what that means if you haven't already been taught that by the Most High. So I'm going to leave the link down below or in my bio. And I pray that this was a blessing to you. And that's just one of the things that goes down in this book. There's a lot more other scriptures from the book of Acts all the way up to Revelation. So it covers Paul's writings as well as the other New Testament apostles. So I pray that it be a blessing to you. Share it with someone. Share the word. Share it with someone. And I'll see you in the next video. Shalom, shalom.